So if you see Yamagola cinema Gurtunda, where NTR danced, oh, Mezuwani antaru. So any dance is like Mezuwani. It's a very not respected word, but I wanted to bring it back because it carries a history. And it is very typical to Andhra, the Telugu region. The Bhama Kalapam, the Kalapams, Golla Kalapam, also the reason I spoke about that is because it is typical to Telugu region. And the Kalavanthulu, we are the same, Nana, Rishi, we are the same, whether it is Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Maharashtra, Orissa, ethos may be the same. But again, we cannot flatten everything out. We have to recognize the distinct quality about each space. Manipur had its own set of Devadasis, there is a distinct quality about them also. If we can acknowledge that and respect that, then life becomes richer. But you don't want to have this flat land everywhere, right? You want to have all colors and we live together. You are absolutely right. You must see the text of the Golla Kalapam and the Bhama Kalapam, so many texts, not one. So many texts. The Telugu of each of them is so beautiful. And we had our own Telugu music, which we lost.
Were the ladies given at puberty donated to the temples from different families? How did
the girls came from different families, one. So if Mangatayaru had a daughter, Mangatayaru, my guru herself is not the direct daughter of her mother. She was taken from another family and they teach her. As a given, these women did not teach their own daughters dance. They always taught the other dancers' daughters dance. Because they say, Inti Vaidyam Panikiradu. When we teach, the child doesn't learn. So Hari's laughing because he sends his daughters elsewhere. So they never taught them. One. Second thing is, there is nothing like a biological lineage because the fathers are all different anyway. Number one. Third one, when they talk about their own, Amma talks about her lineage, she doesn't talk about her blood lineage. She talks about her teaching lineage. She says, my Ammagaru, Puli Venkatratnamma garu, Satyabhama garu, Nenu. Ammagaru, Nenu. But blood-wise, that is not, she doesn't belong to that. How did the girls come? People gave the daughters to them either through vows, because they wanted to give, or because of poverty also. When they could not take care of the daughter, because daughters are an asset only in these families, in no other families. So I'm very proud that in our families, daughters are assets. So the daughter was given to these families so that they can take care. They took care of the daughter and the money came through them.
So they gave that money to the parents' family also?
No, because they have to take care of this family.
Okay.
It's a fantastic arrangement, Vani. And Amrit Srinivasan writes about it. Himanshi, you should read Amrit Srinivasan's article.
Okay.
Amrit Srinivasan says how the temple gave land to the dancer. And she said, the temple said, you are the custodian of this land. Whatever is the produce of this land is your income. You and your mother or your child or your brothers or whoever is singing for you, everybody survives on the produce of this land. The day you are unable to dance anymore and offer services to the temple or the court, by then you should have trained somebody else and made them ready. Then the land that dancer becomes the custodian of the land, and that dancer takes care of you and everybody else. So they don't own the land, but they live on the produce of the land, and that continues to be on their name only as long as they continue to create dancers and fill that post, keep filling the post.
Okay. So is this continuing today also? Are girls given to temples? So
No, the law, the Devadasi Abolition Act said no dedication of any women to the temple, and the women from these families could not dance. So I have to say this. Technically, I should not be dancing because the law says women from these families should not be dancing. But N.T. Ramarao came to our rescue and he said, what nonsense law? In my state, this doesn't apply. And he nullified it. So I'm here. And that's why I'm a complete follower of NTR's. I must tell you how much he supported artists. That's for another day. How much artists will go back and vote for him.
So the Devadasi Abolition Act came at what time?
Immediately after we got independence. Immediately. It was almost as if Nehru was waiting for independence to sign the act. So 1948 October, we got the
What
act was
happened
passed.
to the lands of the temple then?
So the lands were given, the men took it. It was non-taxable land earlier, and then they made it taxable. Once it became taxable and the women were not allowed to dance, the idea was that the lands go to the women and they live on the lands. But that did not happen. The men took it. Men from within the families and outside the families grabbed the lands. So that was the death knell for the women because the lands were not with them. They could not dance. They were stigmatized. So there was nothing, there was no way. It was all dead end for them by that time. So in my family, my Nanama's grandmother, her mother and grandmother are supposed to have got some lands. The brothers are supposed to have gotten some lands from the Simhachalam temple because we were committed to the Simhachalam temple. Those lands, because he was a good man, he gave a portion of it to Nanama's mother. And so she had a little bit of land. And of course, they lived by selling the land bit by bit, but at least they had the land with them. And then the land was also in Pedapuram because they were shifted to Pedapuram. They traveled with the patrons. Wherever the patrons sent them, they kept moving. And that's how we landed in Pedapuram. So with our family, we had a little bit of land because the man was a good man. But there are so many families where the man was not a good man.
I was in Italy for an exhibition, and I met a lady who works in a firm which sells paintings. And she was saying she donated money to an NGO in Vijayawada, which is protecting women from being donated to temples.
Yeah.
And
so that is one.
she came now. I'm not talking about 50 years ago, 100 years ago. She came now about it. What do you have to say on that?
No, I think that angle, Vani, is not the same as the Devadasi act that is happening here, but it's about the Joginis and Matangis, which is still happening in Telangana area and Karnataka and those places.
What is
the girls? So Joginis and Matangi is the practice of the Jogini, Matangi, there are Nagavasula and all that is that the young girl is dedicated to the temple and considered the replication of the goddess. So on that particular day, when the Jatra is on, she's made up like a goddess and she's considered a goddess.
That is
She
for a day.
becomes
That is for a day.
Only for a day. But then these women don't get married. They become the property of the temple, which means the property of the village head.
Okay.
So they are used by everybody in the village. These women it is still there, sadly, in a few places. So were they dancers? Is there art in them? The Chindu Bhagavatam and others have these women only dance in that. So the dance is a little different from what we do. Okay. But we are all temple women. I don't want to say because we dance in Ranganatha Swami temple, we are something else, and they dance in smaller temples, they are lesser. No. We are all temple women, all of us.
How is it that the Britishers never had the guts to abolish it and we Indians in the independent India did it?
So Queen Victoria she passed an act, a law saying, do whatever you like in India, but don't meddle with the religion part of it, culture and religion part of it. So they could not do anything. They didn't have the right to finger what was already established. And the Devadasi is intricately connected with the temple. So they could not do, but they put everything in place. What they did was, They worked on the psyche. They worked on the boudoir, the upper class, upper caste, educated Indians, English educated Indians. They worked on them and they brought it down. They said all these practices of unmarried women dancing and being the breadwinners, all this is very bad. The woman should stay at home and the man, you should be the breadwinner. So it was very convenient for the man to believe that. And then he brings that ethos down. It trickles down, and people begin to think, our own families begin to think, oh, you stay at home, woman, to their own mothers and sisters. They put them in the house. Don't allow them to dance. Don't allow them to go anywhere. Saying, if you go out, we are losing our respectability. So you stay at home and I will find livelihood. And most of them could not find livelihood because they also carried stigma. They too carried stigma. So they could, and also they were not educated, right? They could not dance and they were not educated. So they were neither. All they could do was, in Tamil Nadu, the Natwanar and the Pillai families are the sons of the Devadasis. So they took music and they started teaching whatever they could see. They were not performers, but they started doing the Natwanga. That they did. In Andhra, they did the violin and the mrudanga. So whoever did that survived. They had the sanity in place. But whoever didn't do that could not do anything else either. And then came cinema. When cinema came, all the men from here went saying, we will become heroes. But they became light men or something else. And then it was just, they just didn't make it. The men didn't make it at all at that time. Until reservations came, and then people like my father made use of the reservation and then said, okay, we will build our lives on this.
Do you think the reservations should still continue?
Bani, my father got the reservation certificate made for my sisters. By the time it came to me, he said, I'm in a good position. You don't need it anymore. You work on it yourself. Yeah. So I don't have a reservation, the B certificate that we are eligible for. I don't have it and I never used it. Reservation has to continue, Vani, but not the way it is doing now. There are communities, there are people, human beings in the village, in the forests, who don't even have a name for the caste, even to put themselves under reservation. They don't even know what caste it is. They don't understand anything. So you have to revamp the whole thing. You have to look at it and say, check as to who is to get reservations and who is not to get reservations. It can't continue like this.
But it has done to a certain extent.
It has done good to a large extent. Now it has to change. Today I'm here because my father made use of the reservations and he became the additional managing director APS RTC. And I'm able to talk to you because daddy grew like that. If I was not educated, I don't think I would have been able to talk to you like this.
Okay.
So that you have to give value to that.
I'm just reading. This doesn't look like a question. This is from Rishi. I truly wish the history of the Kalavanthulu spoken about and documented more widely. Most of us grew up learning about the Devadasi tradition largely through the lens of Rukmini Devi Arundale's biography and the narratives surrounding Tamil regions, while the rich artistic histories and traditions of the Telugu regions often remain less discussed. Despite the immense contributions of Nataraja Ramakrishna Garu towards the reviving and preserving Telugu performing arts, be it Perni Shiva, Tandavam, or Ananda Natyam, these traditions and the communities behind them still deserve far greater recognition and conversation. Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, so important. So that's why I chose the word Mezuwani. You must also know that the word Mezuwani is a very tarnished word. So if you see Yamagola cinema Gurtunda, where NTR danced, oh, Mezuwani antaru. So any dance is like Mezuwani. It's a very not respected word, but I wanted to bring it back because it carries a history. And it is very typical to Andhra, the Telugu region. The Bhama Kalapam, the Kalapams, Golla Kalapam, also the reason I spoke about that is because it is typical to Telugu region. And the Kalavanthulu, we are the same, Nana, Rishi, we are the same, whether it is Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Maharashtra, Orissa, ethos may be the same. But again, we cannot flatten everything out. We have to recognize the distinct quality about each space. Manipur had its own set of Devadasis, there is a distinct quality about them also. If we can acknowledge that and respect that, then life becomes richer. But you don't want to have this flat land everywhere, right? You want to have all colors and we live together. You are absolutely right. You must see the text of the Golla Kalapam and the Bhama Kalapam, so many texts, not one. So many texts. The Telugu of each of them is so beautiful. And we had our own Telugu music, which we lost because we chose to follow Carnatic music. What has been told to us that this is the best music. And so all of us let go of our Bhajana Sampradayam and our own Telugu music. And we do only Carnatic music. That native Telugu-ness we have to work towards.
Yes.
Hari sir would like to ask something.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. No, I just wanted to share my experience, what I had while training with Yashoda Akka for two particular dance presentations. One was Bhama Kalapam, the Kalavanthulu's Bhama Kalapam. In comparison, what I have been witnessing whenever I got an opportunity to watch the Bhama Kalapam of the Kuchipudi style, and then Bhama Kalapam of the Kalavanthulu style. The slang, the language is quite different. And I thoroughly enjoyed, playing the character of Krishna in Kalavanthulu because there was a lot of humor. It is just like what we talk in our mother tongue in the regular conversations, what we have at home or with friends or cousins. It was something very close and very, easily understood by the audience. That was one aspect. And then when we also performed for the Golla Kalapam, there I could see a slight difference and also few similarities with the language. Because when we talk about Kuchipudi style and the language used, it is more of Grandhikam, more of Sanskritized terms, which one needs to have a little knowledge about understanding what actually a certain words mean. And when it comes to Kalavanthulu's performance, yes, few words were surely similar to what Kuchipudi style also had. But otherwise, again, there was a slight lighter vein and slang even in this Golla Kalapam, because I played the Brahmin, and the kind of conversation the Golla Bhama and the Brahmin had was very satirical, very much philosophical, and also very much, on a lighter vein. So that was a very nice experience for me, with a little knowledge here and there from my university studies or from watching all my seniors and other dancers also about observing the language part. So that helped me relate and connect also while practicing for both the performance. Thank you for that, Yashoda.
Thank you, Hari.
Thank you. I just wanted to share, Vishwa Talks is more of an exchange of our heritage. So please feel free to share, all of you, the participants.
Like you do.
Raise your hands. Please feel free to share, because your knowledge, like right now, what told is something that, people like us, it's knowledge for us. Yeah. Especially at a time when things are just disappearing. I don't think the next generation will even get 1% of what we know also. So let us talk about it. The purpose of Vishwa Talks is that this gets recorded for posterity.
Yes.
Thank you. There is a question from Move with Manvi. Could you please enlighten on the anti-nautch movement, madam? I had read previously that the British led the campaign to abolish the Devadasis and the wives. Yeah.
So it was not an official campaign, Manvi. They did everything. And we allowed them to do. Let's not do blame. Let's do responsibility. Okay. We allowed them to do whatever they did to us. We allowed them to tell us that our own traditions are all nonsense. And we allowed them to tell us that our women, if they were not married, are all whores and witches. So let's not do this blame thing. But officially, they didn't do anything. But it was easier for them to bring the anti-nautch there because there was no temple connection there. Kathak doesn't have a temple connection unless we are talking about the Ras part of it. And that also is not part of any ritual there. It is danced outside the temple. It's not like dancing in the Baliharana or the Dhwajarohana, Dhwaja Avarohana, like in the south. It is the Ras that is danced outside the temple as a celebration, as a beautiful. That is only one part of Kathak's history. The other part of Kathak's history is the Tawaif history, where it has come to us. It has actually, it's a beautiful form, Kathak, where the women came from Persia and they brought Kathak along with them. They gelled, they bring in Indian ethos and the Persian dance, and they all this together, the Ras, the Tawaif, the Persian culture, Indian culture, everything comes together as Kathak to us. So try as we do, we cannot take away the Persian influence from Kathak. One. It was easier for the anti-nautch to come earlier, and that has come in 1800s. That became a precursor for the Devadasi Abolition Act, in fact. It was easier there because there was no temple connection. So Queen Victoria didn't think of that when she told us this. She didn't say, don't talk about that. Yes, the British moved it, but we allowed them to move it all the way it's us.
So there was the Kakatiyas and then the Vijayanagar kings and then the Britishers who must have come around the 1750s to 1850s when they established power.
Yeah, East India Company. Yeah.
The Devadasis must have been patronized by the kings at the time
Yes,
of
very much.
Kakatiyas and the Vijayanagaras.
Yes.
And
yes.
the zamindars from 1800s may have patronized them.
Yes.
What is the
yes.
What happened between 1600 to 1800?
So they were patronized. They were very happy. Everything was going well. They were respected quite a bit. When the British Crown started taking over, 1858, British Crown took over after the Sepoy Mutiny, right? So that was when they also realized that if they have to break India, they have to break India at the psychological level, at the root level. So then they said, how can women be so? See, one thing about Europe is that they have only one lens through which they can see the whole world. They can only look at things from their own lens. So if a woman is not married in Europe, at that time they were considered witches. So they had to be married. So they come here and they tell us, your women are not married, so they are all witches. Then they had Latin as God's own language because the Bible is written in Latin. They come to us and they tell us Sanskrit is God's own language because all your Vedic chants are in Sanskrit. So anybody who can speak Sanskrit, like the priest in the church, anybody who says the Vedic chant is next to God. So if you can't reach God, talk to the priest. It's only one thing that they bring. Then they have the Bible. They can see everything only through the Bible. Then they told us Veda. And then they write the Veda. Then they say only the Veda is Hindus. They said only the Veda, not all those deities that you have in the house, all animal gods, they're all pagan gods, or the local gods and goddesses, trash them. Only the Veda is, and so texts are important. Sanskrit texts are important. And Bhagavad Gita, they are important. We all love them, but we don't live according to the text. Text is written as we live. So when we are talking about what changed, they started changing these things slowly into us, Vani. And then they said, how can the woman be the center of power? But having said that, it was not as if we were living a fantastic life either. When it came to the zamindari time, the zamindaris also, at least few of them, and the kings were living a life that was being spent. The resources were being spent. So in this kind of a lavish lifestyle, it became easy for the colonizers to come and take charge of the situation. So I'm saying, let's take responsibility, because if we don't take responsibility, we cannot move ahead.
Yes. You have a question, please ask.
Yes. So Yashoda, it's less of a question and more of a comment. So I think what you're talking about is in the context of Kalavanthulu and the dance and even Tawais, right?
Purely.
But it's the same pattern across religion. Like Indian religions at that point were considered pagan. Indian cultures and dressing was considered uncouth. And
Yes.
people who spoke and dressed and socialized like them were given opportunities because they were less
Yes.
intimidated. And it is not like one person or two people decided we will make this, or even that, the British government decided between 1600 and 1800, there was no British government really, right? So,
Yeah.
so they weren't deciding that we will have to, this is uncouth. They
No.
were
No.
looking down upon these
Yes.
cultures that
Yes.
the already more educated higher castes decided we will emulate the British to get into the
Yes.
societies. And during that emulation, they also emulated the disdain that they had on our own indigenous art forms, our
Correct.
own indigenous
Correct.
cultures and religions. So, no, they did not come and say Sanskrit and Vedic religions are acceptable because and then, by the way, the British East India Company were two branches. It is the governing branch and the trading, actually the trading branch that became the governing branch, and the religious, the church that
Yeah.
sent missionaries.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
reason they accepted the higher caste Vedic cultures is because they sort of aligned with the. So,
Yes.
disdain of women didn't come because of the British. Our Vedic culture had that. But because
Yes,
it
it had it.
aligned with the Victorian morals, they said we will
Correct.
accept this. So, the responsibility we have to take is not just that we agreed with them, that we also had that and we filtered out things that didn't agree with them. So, this
Yes.
it's a much larger problem, and there are
True. True.
anthropologists who have done this. Yeah.
I agree, Shashi. There was one section which was like that too.
Yes.
And that was a very powerful section.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
today we do
too
that,
think so.
Yashoda. When someone
Yeah, we do.
talks in Legici Poyano, and I have a live
Mm.
example of this in a different context, but when someone
Mm.
says Ipre Legiciano, which is a colloquial, I won't call
Yes.
it slang, colloquial way of saying Lechano,
Mm.
or so we
Mm.
look down upon those people that
Yes,
they
we
are
do.
not speaking the right Telugu. But who
Yes.
are we to say what is the right Telugu?
So that trickles down to everything, Shashi. That
Everything.
trickles down to our music also. Today, when we sing a nice, happy music, oh, that's not. And so common man says, oh, you do classical dance,
Yeah.
and then I want to tell them, please, I do classical dance. I wish I did not have to. I could do the other dances also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people are in the field of this dance now? 100, 200, 300,000?
Of Kalavanthulu dance or of classical dance itself?
Kalavanthulu and performing arts in Andhra.
Classic Kalavanthulu dance ever later, Vani. That's my problem. Kada. I'm trying to get the families to come back. I am making progress. There are people who are coming back slowly. Classical dance of Andhra, they are in tens of thousands. There are so many of them.
Okay. Got it.
We are happy with that. Dance is doing well.
Dance is doing well. Other music and all. What about the temple,
Yeah.
Mridangam, the musicians?
Musicians are also doing fine,
Mm.
depending on where they have to choose where the money comes from and go there. So temple lo Nadaswaram and Sannai Vallu, they are not getting enough.
Mm.
That
I'm
area,
specifically asking about this because they need support. So
they do.
who among our cultural heritage are the performing arts people who need support according to you?
Oh, I can tell you so much. I'll tell you this on another basis, Vani. Actually, there's an organization called Telugu Neravu where they identify these indigenous artists and art forms, and they make a note as to who needs money. So who needs support. I will
Telugu
come back
Neravu.
to Telugu Neravu. There's a guy called Ramesh. There's a person called Ramesh who takes care of it. I will have a long conversation with you. Super work they are doing, really.
Please share. I would like to have them on the Vishwa
Yes.
Mondays a thing also.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yes. Thank you. You were very patient with all the questions and you've given
No.
your wisdom to all of us. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Vani. Thank you for having me over again. And thanks to your wonderful team.